The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Wednesday, 19th day of November, 2025. Sound a little out of breath? I am. Neighbor's alarm just went off and I had to go to her house, and luckily I have the keys and I was able to go in and the alarm off and turn it back on. So it was a false alarm, so if I suddenly have to disappear for a couple minutes, that will mean her alarm went off again. So anyway, the intro said Michael would be here today, but guess what? He's not. He had warned everybody that he would be out today. Somehow I didn't get the memo. But here we are for the afternoon broadcast. We did do the live training room this morning. The markets were so volatile and so all over the place. It was wild. Now, we're going to look at it big picture today, as we always. Michael's world is the 9-tick range and the 19-tick range. My world, as you know, is the net chart. So, what a world of difference. But anyway, we did see some good trade opportunities, but the market was just moving so fast and flip-flopping back and forth directions. And this afternoon at 2 o'clock, we have the release of the minutes from the last FOMC. So I don't know if the volatility is because of that or because tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we're going to get 25 economic reports. A lot of this stuff got delayed because of the government shutdown. 25 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. 25 economic reports, 5 of which are high impact. And then we have another high impact tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So, I guess it'll be wild again. It's definitely wild today. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Wherever you are, always glad to have you right here, right now. As you know, we do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. First broadcast is our live training room. That's reserved for members only, who's taking their 1-week free trial. Not taking your 1-week free trial, to mytradingiq.com. At the top of the page, just click that big purple button. Fill out the form. Michael gets home tonight. He'll get your indicators up and indicating. Trial will officially start tomorrow and will run all the way through next Wednesday afternoon. Okay? Now, this broadcast is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth, internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. Best way, only got to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, this time of year, visiting family and friends for the holidays. But you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get later. Well, you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFR. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Story. My, how time flies. Now, not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for educational .com/CF. So the schedule that you see on the left side of the screen, the top part is true. The part where Michael normally joins us, that won't happen today, but as far as I know, it will happen. Let's dive into our daily devotional. We're on day 20 of 28, and the topic is sharing your faith. 28 days because it's such an important topic. Once you get saved, for eternity, sealed. That's not the end of the road. It's just the beginning. Now, someone who is a believer and whose eternal fate is sealed, under God's command to share the true gospel with everybody. Now, that doesn't mean beating people over the head with the Bible. Doesn't mean that's the only thing you ever talk about. Pretty soon nobody will want to hang out with you. Still talk about football. You can still talk about whatever. But when you come across somebody who is not a believer, does not have a personal relationship with Jesus, guess what? That's what this devotional is all about. Our scripture today is Colossians 4, verses 2 through 6. Share it with you from the NIV translation. Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. And pray for us too, that God may open a door for our message, so that we may proclaim the mystery of Christ, which I am in chains. Paul wrote this letter to the church at Colossia when he was in prison. Literally in chains. Pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. Wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer. And that was Colossians 4, verses 2 through 6. Today's topic, graceful answers. One of the greatest fears to plague us in witnessing is the possibility of being asked questions we don't know how to answer. Let's look at the principle that Paul gives us. Having the right answer, knowing what to say is important. So is using the right manner of speech, knowing how to say it. all know that in life it's not always what you say, but how you say it that matters. Our answers to the non-believer are to be full of grace. Provide the right answer in the wrong manner. Often get involved in verbal sparring that wounds the participant and threatens the relationship. A grace-filled answer may foster a deeper relationship. It will express understanding for what the other person thinks and why it is important. But it will also share the truth in a way that invites further engagement and conversation. You should answer always grace, and most effective bridges are built and truth. So I encourage you to identify someone on your prayer list who appears close to spiritual issues. Ask that person what bothers them the most about religion. Don't try to provide the right answer this time. Just listen and understand. Tell them that sometime later you'd like to talk. See, this way, you're not going off half-cocked, giving them some kind of an answer that isn't grounded in biblical truth. Then go to your mentor, your pastor, somebody you know that has more knowledge of the gospel than you, and ask them what the correct answer should be. And then just be watchful how you actually share it. Okay? All right. Let's pray. Lord, help us to be devoted to prayer, watching with thankful hearts for all you're doing. Open doors for your word in our lives, and give us wisdom in every conversation. Teach us to walk in grace, speak with gentleness, and season our words with truth. May everything we say reflect Christ. It's in Jesus' name, and pray. Everybody said, Amen. Happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. All right, the Dow's currently down 105 points. NASDAQ is up 41. S&P 500 is up 6. The Russell 2000 is up less than 2. You get to the charts, you see the kind of activity we had today. Now, on the larger time frame charts that I use, it may not look as violent as it did on those smaller range charts today. You get the idea. In the commodity basket, crude oil is down $1.63. We had crude inventories today. So crude is currently trading $59.12 a barrel. That's a drop of over 2.5%. Gold is down $6.60, trading $40.59.90 last. Silver down 22 cents, trading $50.33 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei fell 165 points. Shanghai rose 6. Hang Seng fell 99. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 44. The DAX down 17. CAC down 15. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And once again, it is a mixed Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Russell is now 4 points into the green. The only one still lagging is the Dow, which is down 93 points. But we'll be taking a closer look at that, of course, when we get to the charts. First, Congress approved a bill yesterday directing the Justice Department to release unclassified files related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The House passed the bill 427 to 1. While the Senate agreed to deem the legislation passed as soon as it arrived in the chamber, President Donald Trump, who initially opposed the measure, is expected to sign it into law. The Epstein Files Transparency Act directs the Attorney General to release records concerning Epstein, his former associate and convicted sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others referenced in Epstein's criminal activities. Information tied to ongoing investigations or containing sensitive victim data can be withheld. Trump has urged the Justice Department to investigate prominent Democrats and financial institutions, their potential ties to Epstein. And I'm going to share another news article here with you in a minute. The Dems have opened Pandora's box. Now, remember, they had these files the entire 4 years that Biden was president. Why, if this information is so important, Democratic president not release the files? Well, we're starting to find out. Larry Summers is at the top of the list. I get ahead of myself. That's coming up here in a few minutes. Push for transparency follows the release of more than 20,000 pages of Epstein-related documents last week, some of which mention Trump. The president maintains his friendship with Epstein ended in the early 2000s, before Epstein's 2008 conviction. Now, you got to remember, Epstein was convicted of messing around with underage girls. But they say he got a sweetheart deal. Whatever. But he was a convicted sex offender as of 2008. So anybody who had anything to do with him after 2008, that becomes a suspect, doesn't it? President Trump welcomed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House yesterday. The meeting is the first U.S. visit by Saudi Arabia's de facto leader since the 2018 killing of Jamal Khashoggi. In October of that year, a team of Saudi agents assassinated Khashoggi, a Saudi dissident, Virginia resident, and Washington Post journalist. The incident sparked a diplomatic crisis taking place in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. U.S. intelligence agencies concluded the Crown Prince likely ordered the murder. Several European countries, including Germany, Denmark, and Finland, suspended arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Trump vetoed 3 congressional resolutions that would have taken similar action. Yesterday's meeting saw Prince Mohammed pledge to invest up to $1 trillion in the U.S., roughly the size of Saudi Arabia's entire economic output, and came after Trump announced plans to sell F-35 fighter jets to the country. I watched that interview yesterday. Whether the prince ordered this, I don't know. I know yesterday he seemed like a nice fellow, but I know that doesn't mean anything. Amazon's Zoox began offering robotaxi rides to the public in San Francisco yesterday, challenging Alphabet-owned Waymo's Bay Area dominance, marking the first time two rivals are operating in the same city. Now, these Waymo robotaxis, I see them everywhere in the greater Phoenix area. I don't leave the compound a lot, but when I do, I'm bound to see one, especially on the east side of town. Founded in 2014 by an Australian designer and the son of Apple's chairman, Zoox was acquired by Amazon for roughly $1.3 billion in 2020. Zoox, that's Z-O-O-X, builds its boxy, all-electric, steering wheel-free vehicles, while Waymo installs its technology into cars from manufacturers such as Jaguar and Chrysler. Ones I see in Phoenix have all been Jaguars, but they don't look like the It's not your father's Jaguar. I used to have a classic Jaguar, and this ain't that by any stretch of the imagination. The current Jaguar is not even something I would. This summer, Amazon announced the conversion of a former California bus factory into a Zoox plant, projected to make 10,000 robotaxis annually. Roughly 50 Zoox vehicles now operate between San Francisco and Las Vegas, where the company first began offering public rides in September. Rides in both cities are currently limited to select areas and are free, pending regulatory. Waymo, which has charged for rides in San Francisco since 2023, expanded its routes last week to highways around San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix. Those cars have been in Phoenix a lot longer than last week. You've heard me talk about them. That old song, One Driver on the Top, that was about the double-decker buses. Driver at the... All right, moving to Wall Street news. NVIDIA's latest AI partnership with Microsoft and Anthropic underscores the chipmakers' torrid pace of deal-making this year, even as circular artificial intelligence agreements have set off alarm bells among investors. NVIDIA invested $23.7 billion in firms in the space through 59 deals between the start of 25 Monday, according to PitchBook data. The entirety of 2024, NVIDIA inked a total of 54 deals, 22.8. I would say they're all in. Stocks moved higher today to recover from a tech-led sell-off as investors await earnings from NVIDIA this afternoon. When the stock market closes at 4, we'll probably get it at about 4:05 Eastern. That will set the tone for the next leg of the AI trade. Investors are bracing for NVIDIA's third quarter earnings, which are expected to swing the stock up to 7% in either direction. Now, they're basing this on the options market. More broadly, the chip-making giant's results could prove a make-or-break moment for this year's strong S&P 500 rally, which has been spurred by optimism for AI-fueled. And you all know that I'm looking for a bigger sell-off than what we've had in the S&P. Yeah, I could be wrong. It's happened before. 80s? Yeah. Anyway. U.S. trade deficit fell by nearly 24% in August as President Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs pushed imports lower. Import delayed for more than 7 weeks by the federal government shutdown. The Commerce Department said today that the gap between what the U.S. buys from other countries and sells them fell to $59.6 billion in August. Now that's down from $78.2 billion in July. Okay, Larry Summers, this is from Bloomberg. Larry Summers will leave the board of OpenAI, part of his departure from public roles after U.S. lawmakers released former U.S. Treasury Secretary's correspondence with late disgraced sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Larry has decided to resign from the OpenAI board of directors, and we respect his decision, OpenAI said in a statement today. We appreciate his many contributions and the perspective he brought to the board. On Monday, Summers announced he was stepping away from public commitments and said he was deeply ashamed of continuing to communicate with Epstein. In a separate statement today, Summers said his decision to resign from OpenAI's board was in line with that earlier announcement. I am grateful for the opportunity to have served, excited about the potential of the company, and look forward to following their progress, Summers said in his public statement. He says he was deeply ashamed. Who else we may hear? After a 6-week delay due to the U.S. government shutdown, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the September job. Now, this is November. We're going to get the September jobs report tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Again, there's 25 economic reports coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. 5 of them are high impact. Wall Street economists expect the report to show modest job gains of around 50,000 positions, according to data from Bloomberg. The report was initially scheduled for release on October 3rd, delayed by the government shutdown. It'll be a big day tomorrow. One way or the other. Few outside of President's staunchest allies are lining up to support his idea for a tariff dividend in the form of $2,000 checks. Economists have panned Trump's logic and pointed out that the proposal would cost hundreds of billions of dollars more than tariffs are projected to bring annually. See, that's the problem with our youth not learning how to do math, right there. And GOP lawmakers are treading carefully after Republicans passed the budget-busting One Big Beautiful Bill earlier this year, many wary of adding another wave of red ink. Did I mention that Saudi Arabia is investing $1 trillion in the United States and buying a whole bunch of fighter jets? After all, it was Trump who signed the first COVID-era stimulus checks into law and reveled in the fact that they had his name affixed to them. Recently, his 2024 campaign trail ideas, like no taxes on tips and overtime, were seen as fantastical time, but are now the law of the land. What happened to the no taxes on Social Security? What happened to that? Another factor suggesting that real push could be in the offing is Trump and his party's ongoing challenges around affordability issues, with the president often mentioning checks as an effort that he is undertaking in part to improve Americans' view. Terry Haynes, the founder of Pangea Policy, even called rebate checks very likely this week in a note to clients. Pointed out that the idea could be included in an upcoming reconciliation bill, which can be passed with only Republicans. What you going to do with your money? Don't just go buy another TV. How many TVs do you need? Come on. Says the man who found an 85-inch, $500. Got to rent a U-Haul truck to bring it home. But We haven't bought it yet. We just talked about it. Of course, my grandson works at U-Haul, so he told me today if I come while he's on shift, I can get a discount. And it's only $19.95 a day. The guy at the store is called Man Cave. That's the name of the store. He said what most customers do is they get one of those Uber SUVs, and he said they'll fit in there. He says, or you can get a U-Haul. So a U-Haul is only $19.95 a day, plus, I don't know, like a dime a mile or something. You got to fill it up with gas. So if we decide to buy it, we have a 55-inch now. In fact, the screen you're looking at hanging on the wall in my office is also a 55-inch, which I've had for years. One in our family room. We have a living room. We've only lived in that room probably hours since we moved in 2005. It's the room there's no reason to go in. There's a piano in there, but that's about it. Anyway, Target has consistently delivered on one thing in 2025, serving up brutal warnings about its business on earnings days. The discount retailer cut its full-year profit guidance today and warned of a tepid holiday season as strapped consumers battle through an affordability crisis for food, healthcare, and housing. Target is down 0.5% on the day. Walmart's down over 1%. Amazon only down 0.5%. Number of Americans on jobless benefits surged between mid-September and mid-October. Government data showed this on Tuesday, suggesting an elevated unemployment rate in October as an uncertain economic environment discourages hiring. The Labor Department only published the so-called continuing claims data for the weeks ending October 11th and 18th. The government would have surveyed businesses and households for October's employment during the week ending October 18th. Labor Department spokesperson said a technical issue caused the early posting of partial data. They've been having a lot of problems over there. This is being corrected, and the complete series will be available by the close of business on November 20th. That's tomorrow. No official weekly claims data has been published since late September because of the recently ended 43-day shutdown. Shares of Glue. Now, I don't know if it's glue or glow. It's spelled GL. Opened 0.6% above its initial public offering price in their NASDAQ debut day, valuing the Christian-focused tech platform at $585.9 million. I wasn't even aware of this. Boulder, Colorado company stock opened at $8.05 a share, compared with the $8 IPO price. Glue or Glow raised $72.8 million by selling 9.1 million shares below the marketed range of $10 to $12 a share. Religious IPOs in New York are very rare. There's no record of a flotation in this space in the past 5 years, according to Renaissance Capital, provider of IPO-focused research and ETFs. Glue, founded in 2013, provides AI-powered tools and content. More than 140,000 faith, ministry, and nonprofit. So I'm sure if you just Google GLOO, take you right to their website and see what they're all about. I'll be doing that. Kraken, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, said today it has confidentially filed for confidentially? Then why am I reading this news report? For an initial public offering in the U.S., as digital asset companies look to tap the new listings market before the 2026 midterm elections. Companies such as stablecoin issuer Circle and crypto exchange Gemini have seen renewed success in going public in the U.S. this year under a crypto-friendly Trump administration. The announcement comes a day after Kraken said it was valued at $20 billion in its latest fundraising, 33% increase just under 2 months. Kraken, however you say it. Reuters, Federal Reserve Governor Stephen Moran said on today that easing financial firms' regulatory burden could allow the U.S. Central Bank to shrink the size of its balance sheet again as we make more progress peeling back regulations. I expect the optimal level of reserves may drop below where it is now, at least relative to GDP or the size of the banking system, Moran said. Text of a speech to be delivered to an event hosted by the Bank Policy Institute and Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council, Washington. Regulatory footprint gets lighter. It is possible that in the future it's appropriate to resume shrinking the balance sheet. Stopping runoff today does not necessarily mean stopping it forever, Moran said. For shrinking Fed holdings further, we first have to get the regulations right and ensure that bank balance sheets are flexible enough for the environment, smaller reserve. Last from Street, the idea for one pot AI came from frustration of the founders, and I'm going to just be honest, I can't pronounce either one of those. But they did raise $13 million to help make chemical drug creation easier. Best ideas in drug discovery often blocked not by biology, but by synthesis, they told TechCrunch. Synthesis is the creation of new molecules using chemical reactions. It's like a recipe or Lego pieces, where small pieces, ingredients, molecules come together to form a wider puzzle picture, a food dish. It's like this fentanyl. It is a synthetic opium. It does not come from the opium, from the poppy, like heroin does. It's all cooked up in the lab. Yeah, this company could give you the name again. One Pot. That's ONEPOT. One Pot, all one word. AI. Pod AI. I don't know if they have any plans to go public. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Okay, turning to Capitol Hill and society. Advocates of transgender medical interventions, euphemistically referred to as gender-affirming care, often seek to silence critics rather than engaging in a debate on the science. And one of the authors of the Department of Health and Human Services report on the issue says he thinks he knows why. HHS published a review of the evidence regarding medical transition for minors in May, finding extremely weak evidence for any benefit from gender-affirming care. HHS sought peer review, submitting its report to medical professionals and pro-transgender health associations. Yet 2 of the 3 pro-transgender groups HHS approached refused to even read the report. And the other organization has refused to read the whole report. Something don't smell right here, does it? You know, these drug companies and these hospitals and these doctors that are chopping up these kids, mutilating them for life. They're making a ton of cash off this, quite often at the taxpayer's expense. Lawfare has grown to be a huge problem. A set of activists cannot win an election or get a favorable bill passed. They find and run to a sympathetic and activist judge. Additional emerging form of lawfare has now taken root in America. Local governments and states suing domestic energy producers over their alleged role in climate change. Bill Gates has said is a bunch of hooey, and he made a mistake. These campaigns are sold as accountability, but they also threaten the strategic foundation of American foreign policy. And Gavin Newsom, of course, who's supposed to be like the governor of California, I guess he hasn't heard about the horrible floods, because he's still off in the Brazilian rainforest there, thumping his chest. His personal photographer makes $200,000. The average governor in America makes $250,000 a year. Gavin Newsom has a personal photojournalist who follows him everywhere he goes, taking pictures and making videos. And that $250,000, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's your tax dollars at work. I'm going to find out and let you know. Okay, let's go to the local news. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude silver. Currently in week 381. I misspoke yesterday. I said over the last 381 weeks that we had issued over 20,100 individual handcrafted alerts. I realized the error of my ways yesterday afternoon. Now issued over 21,000 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Last week, week 380, we issued 67 alerts of never triggered. So we had 55 actionable alerts last week, and 3 or 5% would have been stopped out based on simple market structure and the process we teach our passport holders. This week, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, so some things have changed. This is how it was, and she'll update it this afternoon, as she always does. 50 alerts issued since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. One never triggered. That's my fault. It was a duplicate. I duped. That left us with 22 waiting on their results at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm sure some of those have been resolved by now. So that gave us 27 actionable alerts, of which 3 or 11% have been stopped out based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read a chart. Of course, you can trade them. Kind of hard not to, but the real purpose is so that you look at a chart and understand where to expect potential resistance, where to expect potential support, and to get you in the proper mindset that you're never going to be right 100% of the time. It's not possible. Best trader in the world, whoever that is, he traded today. He got stopped out. unless he did a one and done kind of day. It just happens, okay? There's so many factors involved. Think of all the traders around the world. Institutional guys to the retail folks. I mean, that's a lot of people, okay? And there's no algorithm or no AI, no bot, no nothing that's ever going to be able to predict the combined behavior of all those participants. Now, you can guess and be right 50% of the time. Flip a coin and be right 50% of the time. Logic 247, I always say we've averaged over the last 381 weeks, which is a little over 7 years, is 20% or less. Okay. Last week was 5%. This week so far we're at 11%. Okay. I don't want to be a chest thumper. I could say it the other way. I could say 80% of were profitable, over 80% are profitable. God loves a humble man. So this is where we stand for the week. Now the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock, and we have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, as I said, 380 weeks, that's a little over 7 years. It's a long time in the world of trading. But years before we had a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, concierge, which we still have. They're different in a lot of different ways. The purpose of this discussion, I'll point out that they don't come out around the clock. Posted as a static report, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open each evening. See, last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, that was the beginning of the Wednesday session. Wednesday session will end today at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thursday session will begin tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, what I'm trying to say is all of our traders and even trial members had all of these targets last night, 5 minutes before it opened. Yes, the Dow, the Russell, oil, the gold, and silver. As we go through the individual markets, see these targets drawn out on the chart. Just remember, our traders had the info 5 minutes before 6 p.m. Eastern. Now we can go to the chart. See just what happened today. Okay, this is the daily chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures, Bellwether it's called. It's where we start every day. Now, we start by saying price always reverts to the mean. In our case, mean is green. Call it the BBC. It stands for bull. Let me put that in perspective. Price crosses below the green line, and we open and close below the line, bearish. Had a leg. Remember, price always reverts to the mean, and our mean is this green line. Back held. Back held. This pullback held until this day, April 25th, when we opened and closed above that green line. Then 3 days later, we had a pullback, and it held. We had a pullback on May 23rd, and it held. We had a pullback on June 19th. It took 3 days, but it held. You see, all three candles are touching the green line. Here, you see how, see, I said this pullback held until this day. You have to have a candle open and close above the BBC, big picture bullish. Just like over here, we had to have a candle open and close below the green line, bearish. And look how far this thing dropped. So we've been bullish since May 5th until recently. As you can see, every pullback held right up to this anomaly. I've never seen it before. It is a 6-day pullback. Every one of these candles is touching the green. Not only did the 6-day pullback hold, but it launched us to new all-time historic intraday and closing highs. Then we had a candle and close below bearish, right? Well, sometimes the market does something other than what you think it's going to do. Because Sunday, the following, that was a Friday. Okay. Right there. That was a Friday. Sunday night, the markets gapped higher on the open. And it looked like we were going to go challenge the all-time historic highs. But on this day, November 12th, when we put energy, I said, maybe not so quick. So then the following Friday, we had another candle open and close below the BC. That's one Friday and that's the other Friday. Boy, they sure look a lot alike, don't they? Now, in order for us to go back to being long-term bullish, like we've been most of the year, we would need to see a candle open and close above the green line. Where are we now? Well, bouncing off the 0 line of the fib extensions. Okay. Now the fib extensions play an important role. This is the 24% fib retracement. Pretty sure that's where we're headed. Obviously, we found support at the 24. That was Monday. This is Tuesday. We had resistance at the 24 and support at the 0 line. Same thing again today. Today we hit the black step line, which we know when that's directly above price is potential resistance. As soon as price hit it, boom, fell off the high of the day. But I hadn't even thought about this. Do we have an inside day? Yesterday's high was 67.0870. Today's high 67.09. Okay, so today we went one tick higher than yesterday. It's not an inside day, but found support here at the 0 line on the fib extensions. Okay, now if we open and close below the 0 line, then guess what happens? Switch to reverse fibs. When you're in a bull market, draw your fibs from the low to the high. But when you're in a bear market, draw your fibs from the high. Same is true of the fib extensions. So we're not going to change anything yet. Let's see price. Price has to take out this low right here. As you can see right there. See where that black step line? It was on the right side of and climbing, and then it went back to the left side. That's an unnatural move. See something like that, that becomes an important price, important area. And if I put my cursor right there, you see the red line? That's where the market found support. From action that happened back September 8th and 9th. Cursor right between those two. Okay. So I want to see us break this support. Then we got potential support here at about 65.10. And again at about 64, 88, 87. Then the 24. Now, when you hit a fib retracement on the daily chart, you usually get a pretty nice bounce. So, see what happens. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe this move somehow turns itself around. Tell you what, if those earnings from NVIDIA today, I mean, the whole world is watching. You got the FOMC minutes coming out this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. Then about 4:05 p.m. Eastern, NVIDIA reports. And they're expecting a 7% swing in the price of their stock, up or down. That's based on the options that people are buying and selling. 7% swing, up, down. If they miss their earnings today or have a gloomy outlook ahead, which I don't want to say they're going to lie, but they know that they will single-handedly take down Wall Street if they miss their earnings. Maybe they have blowout earnings. Okay. Then that might take us back to the BBC. But as we know, the pullback holds, doesn't. Whether it's pulling down from above or pulling up below. So positive earnings from NVIDIA this afternoon send us back to the BBC. And I would expect that to hold and give us another leg to the downside. But just have to wait and see what happens. Market was very bullish off that little news we had this morning that got leaked. Yeah, right. And we ran up. Now that the ether's wearing off, patients waking up and going, hey, wait a minute. All right. That's enough about the big picture. Let's go to the... Now, I published this morning in the discussion group. On this candle right here. And I drew this arrow, pointed at the bullish cross. You have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be support. And look what happened. See, that's why it's so important that you learn how to read the chart. I gave it to everybody this morning in the discussion group. You can go there, you can see the timestamp. Okay? I snipped this chart. Still have the snip? Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I drew this. First, I gave the number. You got to go look at the post. Let me just be straight with you. Okay? I drew this after it happened. All right. But if you look at the post before it, I give the actual number where to expect support. Go look at it, because otherwise you're not going to believe. You're going to go, oh, he's just making that up. I'm telling you, I did. So go look. All right. But was good support, as we expect. Sent us all the way up to this weekly zone at 66.95/96. Spiked it. And what stopped it? Left. Hit the horizontal line on the cursor. Today's Wednesday. Tuesday. Made it to the Tuesday high. Then the bottom fell out. Came all the way back down to this zone. 66.22/20. So the vertical lines separate today, Wednesday, here's Tuesday, here's Monday. Horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. Price drops to a zone, we expect support. Otherwise, price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. Otherwise. And when price drops to a zone, we expect support. Otherwise. Next month, on the 15th will mark 16 years that we published the weekly trading zones for our traders. I've had traders tell me they couldn't trade the market without. I don't know. Maybe not. I think you could. Certainly you could. Now, this is where we opened last night. Below the BBC. And we have our first 30-minute candle last night was bullish. But you got red and falling overhead, and that's bearish. Below the BBC, so we definitely expect lower prices. And price dropped right to trading zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once the zones are published Monday morning, carved in stone for the entire week, they don't change in any way whatsoever. If you're not a member, I've got to ask you this question. Knowing the market would potentially find support here, resistance here, and support here, would that not improve the game in some kind of way? Not. Okay. So anyway, market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. Back held. Resistance sends the market looking for support. And the support is right there. Hang on a minute. Belgian Illinois sometimes. I didn't mean that. I was just kidding. All right. Support sends the market looking for resistance. Okay. That would be the long target, which sent us back to the BBC and the previous bullish cross. Now we got to go look for resistance. Found it at the zone published Monday. Did spike it a little bit. Okay. Yesterday's high. Then plunged the zone below. Now, only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like this. Not even there. This is rejection. This is consolidation. This is consolidation. This is definitely rejection. And so now we're below the BBC. Got red and falling overhead. So what should you expect? The Dow. Last night we traded pretty flat. Finally got above the BBC. Spiked up. Target. Fell right to the short target. Tick. Now, why did price stop there? Just look left. Okay. Back held, pull back held, held, pull back held until it didn't. It got on the other side, and then the pullback held, and the held, and the. Now the question is this pullback going to hold? I don't know. I'm not psychic. Maybe psychotic, but definitely not psychic. I have to wait and see. Russell. This was the open last night. Yesterday, you can see we found support at the zone and resistance at the zone. So we opened right here last night. We attempted a run higher. Got knocked back down. And get above BC, and see See how red and falling turned to blue? It's just right up to the zone. We got a retracement. Then we spiked. Look at the spike. Okay. Right there. See where the black step line, it got on the right side of red and falling, and then it reversed and got on the left side. Right. That is exactly the high. Guys, hang on for a minute. I'll be right back. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway. So you saw that, right? It's high. Important price, important area. Now the step line. I really want you to see this. It's on the left side of red and falling. It gets on the right side for a minute. Then it pops back to the left side. That's unusual. That makes that an important price, important area. Important prices and important areas are almost always tested. Now we're below the BVC. Got red and falling overhead. So trade the Russell 2351 down to 2347. Probably a pretty nice trade. Don't sell it now. Gotta let it break the low of the curtain candle. Good. 7. It's 4 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for this. On the NQ. Yesterday we found resistance at the zone, support at the zone, resistance at the zone. We opened last night below the BBC. Back held, pulled back held, back held. Didn't. Right here, this candle opened and closed above the BBC. Back held. Now this candle right here. Opened at 24,630. Ran up 60 points to the target. That's this candle right here. And the target. That's $1,200 per. Market was running real pretty. This area right. See, this candle has a wick pointing down. This candle has a wick pointing up. Cursor right in that slot. That marks an important price, important area. That happened back on Monday. It was today's high. Now we're below the BC with red and falling overhead. Oh, look to sell 24. Get a real 24,560. 24,520. 40 points at $20 a point. It's $800 per contract. Sell it now? No. You gotta let the market prove to you it wants to go down and test this low. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. Crude oil. I already mentioned that crude oil is having a rough day. This is what a rough day looks like. Crude moves $1 in price. It's worth $1,000 per. Opened last night above the BBC, but blue and climbing was directly above price. Blue and climbing gets directly above price. It's probably about to turn to red falling, which is bearish. You see, bullish. Now, look how the step line and blue and climbing are running parallel to each other until this right here. See how the black step line crossed to the right side of blue and climbing? We can all agree we're on the left side here, right? Now we're on the right side. So price drops. See, step line crosses, climbing, falling, like right here, we just crossed red and falling. So we're probably going to get a retracement back to the BBC. Exact opposite of what happened here. Found support at the BBC and the zone. That's called support times 2. Bounced us into red and falling. Sent us back to the zone. Get a double top here. Leg and a retracement. Back held. To the short target. Short target. Now remember, we had inventory numbers today, so that had an impact. Made it all the way down to the zone at 58.95/59. And we're in the process of getting a retracement back to the BBC. Back holes, should get another side. Gold. Tuesday gold found support here, or Monday gold found support at the zone. Yesterday at the zone. Last night we opened a leg and a retracement to pull back held. And another leg. We didn't quite get all the way to the target on that one, but opened at 40.65 and up to 50. It's about $1,500 per contract traded. Show you again. Handle. This is gold. When gold moves $1 in price, it's worth $100 per. So opened 65, ran up to 481. Just going to call it $50, which is $1,500 per. Then we pull back to the BBC, and it gave you a chance to do it all over again. Except this time it was worth. Now, this high on Monday. Yeah. Back to the BBC and the top side of the long target support. Leg and a retracement. Pull back to the zone held and sent us up here. Your cursor. So you got a wick going down and a wick going up. Your cursor right there. That's the wrong one. This one, right. High. Now, Wednesday to Monday. I'm getting that information from Friday. Friday's market structure. Today's high. And price gets below C. And we're getting a retracement. Back hold. This one held, this one held, this one held, this one held. This one didn't hold. This one hold. Gotta wait and see. And silver. Yesterday, low was at the zone, high was at the zone. Same as the day. Anyway, he opened last night right here. Pullback held and sent us up to the target and the zone. Now, you only need 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for this. Open at 50.69. Let's call it 70. Round up cents. $2,000. This candle. Or no, to the high of the candle. Resistance sends the market looking for support. Back hill. So we get a leg and a retracement. Pull back to the zone held. Send us up. Step line crossed. Blue and get a retracement to the BBC. Which holds and bounces into red and falling. Then the BBC got real close to the short target, but we didn't make it. It was 50.14. So we missed by 6 cents. Now, see the step lines attempting to cross red and falling. There's potential resistance here at the long target zone and at the BBC. And if it spikes the BBC, you got to cross. So price continues lower, then of course you got potential support here at the target. One last look at the day. Still well off the high of the day. Still got support at the extensions. Now, if you want to learn how to do all this, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Got a new special offer, so ask her. Say the guy on the internet said you had a new special offer. See what she sends you. Once you become a member, you're going to get 2 hours of live training every trading day and 2 hours every. It's an interactive environment. On top of that, you get private one-on-one extra charge. Just ask. Strategy you learn, the indicators you want as a passport holder. It's all markets and all. This doesn't just work on futures. Stocks, crypto, ETFs, and you don't change a single rule, change a single indicator. Price flows the same across all markets and all. Support, resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again. It's a never-ending cycle. Wouldn't it be nice if you could know where to expect support, resistance? Well, you can. Logic 247 alerts come out around. They will teach you how to read a chart. Get the concierge trade alerts every evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you'll get for the week. Every night, you'll be able to attend the membership shop. And you'll get the golden keys that open all the private channels in. Everything a trader needs. Under one roof. It's a good deal. Checked. All right, let's wrap it up with our good day. So, 7 worry-conquering scriptures. Write these down. Give all your worries and cares to God about you. 1 Peter 5:7. Is your mind besieged with fear? Read these 7 scriptures prayerfully and carefully, and use them in prayer. There's great power in using God's word. Am I saying he likes to hear the sound of his own words? Yeah. Philippians 4:6-7. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Psalm 29:11. The Lord gives his people strength, blesses them. Psalm 55:22. Worries to the Lord, he will take care of you. Never let good people. Isaiah 26:3. Keep in perfect peace all trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. John 14:27. I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. Peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord. They are like trees planted along a river, roots that reach deep in. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. Leaves stay green, never stop producing fruit. And last, Proverbs 3. Yes, you will lie down, sleep, sweet. And that's our good word today. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, God continue to richly bless you, mercy, and with his grace. I'll see you at the bell. And Michael will be back. I apologize to you guys that I didn't get the room right at the bell this morning. Anyway, see you tomorrow.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.